Close your eyes. Focus. Listen to work getting done with Monday.com. Relax as AI does the manual work, while your teams are aligned on a single source of truth. Feel the sensation of an AI work platform, so flexible and intuitive, it feels like it was built just for you. Notice you're limitless. Now open your eyes, go to Monday.com, start for free, and finally, breathe.
I feel like a lot of things just aren't going the way I want. It's just, I feel like I can't handle my life. I'm just not getting what I want. And that's big. And I know a lot of people feel like that. I don't know. I think there's a lot of unknown, and that's frustrating. Am I supposed to be doing this if my career's not working the way I want it to? Am I looking for signs? It's all very confusing.
You're listening to Make Some Noise podcast, episode number 712. Welcome to Make Some Noise podcast, your guide for strategies, tools, and insight to empower yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Owen, global speaker, entrepreneur, life coach since 2007, and author of 3 books that have been translated into 18 languages and are available in 22 countries. Each week, I'll bring you a guest or a lesson that will help you maximize unshakable confidence, master resilience, and make some noise in your life. You ready? Let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am so glad that you are here. Hey, guess what? Write Your Way Through It is open for registration. And we start today, though. Today is the day, January 21st. So you can still get in. AndreaOwen.com/program. It is my signature journaling class. I will probably only teach it one time this year. So if you want to get in it, it's the most affordable way to work with me. And I highly suggest that you do that. AndreaOwen.com/program. I have a coaching episode for you today. It's been several months since we put one of these out, and the wonderful Lisa came on the show, was very vulnerable, and sat for a coaching session and let me record it for a podcast episode. I've done these before. Don't be too scared, anyone who's listening. I open up applications for these probably about once a year, and I always get such an amazing bunch of applications to be on the show and to get coached live on the show. So I always am so incredibly grateful that people come on to do that. And so this is how it works. You will listen to the coaching episode. I always try to pick topics the people bring the topic, but I try to pick applications where the topic that someone is bringing can hopefully relate to a lot of people listening. And so that is my hope. And then at the end, I'm going to give you an update because Lisa's already done her homework that we co-created together during the session, and she has an update for me. So stay tuned at the very end and you will hear that update. So without further ado, here is the coaching session with Lisa. Lisa, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
That's kind of been long awaited because we had a conversation a couple weeks ago. And the way that I do these calls is that I do a quick 20-minute call ahead of time, like we had, and I get a little bit of information. And I'm always kind of chomping at the bit because I'm like, oh, I want to know more. I want to know more because I'm so curious. So it's like, I've been excited to have this conversation with you. Before we jump in, can you start by telling the audience who you are, maybe where you're from, and just what you do for a living, and then we'll get into the topic.
My name's Lisa. I am in Seattle, and the rare native of Seattle, and I'm a writer, actually a ghostwriter, and which is how we met through a writing group. What else do we want to know?
That's plenty. Yeah, like we don't need home address or anything like that. Well, we did meet in a writing course. You took several years ago in 2020. A course I did with Amy Ehlers. And so, what is it today? Fast forward to 2025 that you came to coaching for. What are we talking about today?
After a very long marriage, a 26-year marriage, I'm freshly divorced as of like 3 months ago. I'm kind of starting over in a good place in a way, but in a weird place. It's a strange time in the world, and I haven't dated in a zillion years. I'm not ready for that yet, but when it comes, and my friends feel different, and I got here kind of by inches, and I just sort of ended up in a place where I'm not quite sure where to start.
Yeah. The word that came up for me when you were describing that is that it sounds disorienting.
It is. I'm used to my life in my house. I'm not used to my life. And because I work at home too, I'm not used to my life in the world
Yeah.
anymore. The world's changed a lot and it changes every day. And I feel like, yeah, women are, they're facing totally different things than as single people than they were when I was single last.
Okay. Interesting. Part of me is thinking that like where you're at, like this disorienting kind of place and coming into the world after all these years. It's almost like you were I don't want to say that you were like asleep for 26 years. That's not the best metaphor, but it's almost like you went in from one realm, like one dimension to another. And like all this time has passed, so you sort of open your eyes or kind of pull the curtain back to this new dimension, like pick your head up, if you will, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm still me, but I don't really maybe your identity has been shaken up a little bit and you're not sure what that is." And then you also, because it sounds like you are also looking for what you're quote unquote supposed to do. Is that fair? That's sort of what I'm feeling out.
That is fair. I don't know a lot of people in my same situation, and the couple that I do are not doing stuff I want to do.
Okay. Yeah.
They're looking for wing women, and I'm like, ew, I don't want to do that. There's some anger in how like icky some of the processes of dating are now, and I don't know that it's anger, it's frustration. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get on apps. I don't want
Right.
to, and I don't think I have to, but it's just kind of accepted that that's how it's done.
Yeah, well, it's like here's sort of what I'm feeling out as a person who's like standing back looking at this like kind of picture that you've painted of me. So 26 years ago when you were getting married, you were in a completely different phase of your life, different decade,
Mhm.
and you sort of knew because of the social conditioning that women get, like this is what you do. We get married and we build a family and that type of thing. And so now you've got your eyes open and you're like, "Oh, am I supposed to be dating? I don't want to do it this way." But so my question is, what do you wanna do? Like, do you want to be looking for a new partner? Do you want to be like, or is it something else? What do you wanna do?
No, I don't want any partner. um, it just feels like that's such an expectation. And if I do feel like it at that point, then those other expectations roll into it. I feel like that, my career has definitely suffered in the last few years of trying to make things work and feeling like garbage and all of those things. And so that isn't going the way I want and isn't, pulling me forward financially. I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of things just aren't going the way I want. It's just, I feel like I can't handle my life. I'm just not getting what I want. And
Yeah.
that's big. And I know a lot of people feel like that. I don't know. I think there's a lot of unknown, and that's frustrating. Am I supposed to be doing this if my career's not working the way I want it to? Am I looking for signs? It's all very
Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
confusing.
it sounds like it. Here's what intuitively that I'm thinking. Like, there's all the logistical pieces that are important, the
Mhm.
the work part, if you're going to like, what are you going to do when you hang out with these friends that you have, but you don't want to date? Like all these sort of logistical things. But I think that what might be important for you to start thinking about and what we can talk about is going back to like that, what's important to you now, because it sounds like you're not sure. And I know before we started chatting today, you talked about boundaries, you mentioned the word fun. So to me, those two things, boundaries and fun, point to your values of like
Yeah.
what's important to you about the way you live your life. So I'm wondering is because like you're fresh, like 3 months is fresh. Like when was the last time you thought about like what is important about the way you live your life? Like just Lisa.
It's, in a way, of course, I'm always thinking about it, but like really focusing is not a lot, I mean, I'm all over the place. So
Mhm.
if I had to like boil down, I want to use my talents and I want to experience life, and I want to feel safe financially. And, those are big ones.
So, and we're also having this conversation the very end of October 2025 when it's like, it doesn't feel like exactly a super safe place to like run out into the world and experience your dreams and things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you think about, I want to ask you about fun. Like, when was the last time you had fun? Or when was the last time that you planned something? And like, tell me about the last thing that you can remember about it.
Wow. I used to do a lot of events that I would plan from beginning to end. And that was something that I loved doing because you can control every minute of it. You can do the music and you can do the guest list and you can do the costumes, which were always part of it somehow, and things like that, which were really fun. And I kind of burned out on it, but it was really fun for a time. And now I find that I've gotten a little more like, somebody else do all that stuff. I'll just show up.
Okay.
You know?
So you don't want to do the work, but you still enjoyed the party part?
The social part, eh, more so than I have, more so in the last few months than I have in the last couple of years. I think I'm kind of coming back out of my shell again a little bit. When you aren't happy at home, sometimes it's easier to be out and sometimes it's harder to be out.
Mhm. Say
Because
more
people
about
ask,
that.
because people ask you a lot of questions when you haven't seen them in a while. If you're getting together with friends and you're like, I don't want to talk about that. I think, or the two of us who used to have, my husband and I used to just have loads of fun together. And those events we planned sometimes together, and it was everybody we knew and so much fun. And then he kind of started withdrawing, and it ended up being me doing stuff on my own, and always, where's Troy? What is he coming today? And having to answer for him a lot, which isn't fun.
How much time have you devoted to allowing yourself to grieve all of the different parts of your former life?
I think not enough. My sister has a birthday coming up, and I had to go through a lot of photos for her for something her husband is putting together, and loads of photos of, just different parts of my life were popping up. And I'm like, that was a whole life we had.
Mhm.
And that, I wasn't surprised to see the photos, but I was surprised to have those like, wow, this was a really significant block
Yeah.
of my life and plans for the future and our daughter together and all of these things that, I guess that's probably just recognizing that it's there and probably the beginning of the grief that needs to happen. I imagine. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Do you have any hesitation or resistance to grief around this particular topic?
That's a good question. Probably. Because I think in a way I still look at it as a successful marriage,
Yeah.
but it didn't last, that just over. But most of it was really, I would say 2/3 of it was really good.
Yeah. I understand. I have a very similar experience in my in both of my marriages. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I like that about you because I think some people don't understand that. Like if it's over, it wasn't good.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, how do you think that, so if you were to look at it like that, how do you think that would change the grief trajectory or the grief experience that you would have, or would it change it?
It's sort of like looking at a death, I guess, which I'm really not good at dealing with, quite honestly. And not that anybody really is.
Yeah.
That like it had its beautiful
Mhm.
life and then it, got sick and
Mhm.
it didn't get better. And
Mhm.
I guess that's very hard to think about. Wow. Wow.
What's hard about that perspective?
Um, Part of it is he literally got sick, but that's not really what it is. I guess that I couldn't save it. It was hard. And
Mm.
how we do that to ourselves. We, meaning women, I think. I got to think about that. That's a lot. That's big. I like that. I need to put some thought into it.
You mean the metaphor?
Yeah, because I think I'm not. Grief is a really complicated feeling because I think there's some joy in it
Mhm.
that most of us don't really acknowledge because you wouldn't have it if it didn't. mean that you love something so much, and that's what hurts so much. It's yeah, I do feel like there's when you're so unhappy about the way something ended and the way someone was in the end, it's hard to see how painful and how much because of how much you loved it and you wanted it to be your future and you wanted it to be your life.
Mhm.
And it just failed to thrive, as people will say, it's a hard thing to hear.
I think grief is grief is complicated. Yeah, you said it. I don't know if I wanna label it like this, but forgive me for just kind of riffing on what I'm
Yes.
sort of hearing and from my own experience and talking to many clients who've been in similar situations. Some of the easiest parts of grief are when we're thinking about or talking about the really hurtful parts of whatever we're grieving. So if it's like when I think about the death of my father and I think about when he got sick and was actively dying, then it's like grief, almost like it's a noble reason to be grieving. Or if I even think back on like the times that he and I broke each other's hearts, like throughout my entire life, like that's grieving. But it's a different experience to grieve the loss of joy that you once had. So it's like when I start thinking about like the really beautiful parts of my relationship with my dad or my marriage, like both of my marriages, like we, of course there were really joyful parts. Like to me, that's the grief that is almost like for me like more painful and more visceral because like you're experiencing like this myriad of emotions and grieving the totality of the relationship. Oops.
That totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. We were kind of the couple that everybody wanted to be like because
Mm.
we just connected so well and we had such a great time together and
It sounds like you had good energy together that people picked
we
up
had
on.
really good energy together.
Mhm.
And we made decisions together and we, balanced really well. We didn't even like, and we just decided to get married. We agreed to get married. We didn't have a big grand gesture or any of that romantic stuff that like feels old fashioned to me. We just made decisions that felt really good to us and they've served us well in our marriage. And to see that go is really like, damn it, like we had it. We had this thing that was just what we wanted. It
Yeah.
was just what I wanted. And it wasn't my mom's relationship and it wasn't these friends' relationships that I see that look so icky. It was this thing that I helped make into what I wanted and seemed like what he wanted. Maybe I was wrong about him. I don't know. It seemed like we were in the right place. And yeah, people change, of course, but the grieving that I really thought I chose right. I think I've said that a bunch of times over the last several months. I really thought I made a good decision. And questioning your own decision making or your own ability to know, which isn't really fair, of course, because
It's
I'm not
not.
27 anymore. And, you know, but that's what you do.
This show is sponsored by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife and feeling dismissed, unheard, or just completely fed up with the old healthcare system? You're not imagining it, and you're definitely not alone. For far too long, women's midlife health concerns have been brushed off, minimized, or met with some version of this is just part of getting older, deal with it. And honestly, that kind of dismissal is exhausting. It can make you feel invisible or ashamed, or even like your body is suddenly a problem that no one wants to take seriously. Here's a wild stat. Even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause are left entirely untreated. But here's the good news. Things are changing. Enter MIDI. MIDI is a women's telehealth clinic founded and backed by world-class leaders in women's health, and they're doing things differently. They're the only women's telehealth brand covered by major insurance, making expert care accessible and affordable. You get one-on-one, face-to-face visits with clinicians who actually listen, plus personalized care from hormone support to weight management, lifestyle coaching, and preventative health. This isn't cookie-cutter care. This is care built around you. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today and book your personalized insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, is the one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW has what you need, but more importantly, they have what you didn't even know you wanted. You never know what you'll find at DSW. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the healthcare they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
What would it take to change your mind and have you decide that you did actually make the right decision for that time?
Well, just like I know I did.
Mm-hmm.
I know I did. Or it wouldn't have been so fun. And it wouldn't have been so, I mean, not just fun, but I wouldn't have felt so safe there. I wouldn't have felt so like I was doing the right thing.
You probably wouldn't have hung on for 2.5 decades.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
You knew you made the wrong decision. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a glutton for punishment. I would have, having grown up in an unhappy home with a marriage in front of me that wasn't the happiest, I wouldn't have stuck around for that. I think I just have to remind myself that the end isn't the same as the beginning. The decline isn't the same. We weren't the same people. And so much changed between then and now. I guess, you go through things in growing up or in marriages where, you have financial stuff or you have health stuff or you have parents die or any number of things that you don't take well, one or both, and I just stopped being able to lean on him when something happened. And I'm not going to say what the details were, but
yeah. It's interesting taking my coach hat off for a second and just kind of speaking from experience and what I'm observing and hearing is that I think that you're might be putting a little bit too much pressure on yourself about how things should look in terms of your grief and in terms of kind of navigating yourself to where you are right now and putting a lot of pressure on yourself about what's next for you. And some of them are important things like making a living right now and things like this and your connections. However, I also know that when we don't sort of deal with the bigger issues, it can keep us stuck. And then we think the answer is oh, I just need to make more money or I just need to, figure out or get a date for this holiday party. Do you know what I mean? So all that being said, in terms of your feeling like you made the wrong choice and maybe not looking at all the dimensions of your grief, here's what I've come to realize and sort of reframe some of my own beliefs that I've had that sound very similar to yours. And I think probably a lot of people listening can resonate. If you are lucky enough to be like us and get to a certain age, then you will probably have multiple long relationships in your life. Maybe you've only been married once or maybe not married at all, but you probably have had some fairly significant romantic relationships in your life. And I'm a true believer that we don't have just one soulmate or twin flame or love of our life. I think we have multiple. I think if we're really lucky If we're really lucky, we have multiple. And if you're really lucky, you have one that like remains the love of your life and you continue to fall in love with that person over time. Anyway, most of the people I know have multiple, including myself. And these aren't just romantic. You know, I think that our best girlfriends can absolutely be our soulmates that sometimes don't last forever either. And so in saying all of that, I have been able to do some real work in looking back on the two most significant relationships in my life, both of my marriages. One was 13 years, a relationship, and one was 16 years. And definitely like seeing a difference in my grief for grieving my first marriage and my second marriage. I have been able to get through the second one faster a little bit and just kind of easier, the grief, I mean, because I look back and I have done work on not I wouldn't say like forgiving myself, but like giving myself grace and compassion for the young woman that I was when I made the decision to get married, like both of those things. When I made the decision to keep trying in both of my marriages, like that was the best thing for me then. As with as much witchcraft as I do, I cannot tell the future. Like I cannot. And I have tried, Lisa. I have lit enough candles and surrounded myself with enough crystals and tarot cards to try to see like what is the best decision for my 55-year-old self. I don't know. None of us do. And so all we can do is know that we are feeling in ourselves and doing the next best right thing for right now, whether that's if someone's asking us to marry them or if we're deciding whether or not to take a contract gig for work. And then so there's that part in terms of grief and just having lots of compassion for yourself. And then I want to say this other thing too about more so explain what I mean by when I say, like, have you given yourself the opportunity to grieve all of the different dimensions of your grief and yourself? And so what I mean by that is, are you grieving like the young woman that you once were when you first got married? Or for me, like I still spend a decent amount of time grieving like the years that my ex-husband and I had when our kids were really little. Like that was the best time. Like I look back, I see pictures of that and I'm like, it'll sometimes bring me to my knees. Because it was like this snapshot of time that I will never get back.
Yeah.
That and it's just, that is such a beautiful thing because like it will never exist again in the universe. It never existed in the universe before that. And it's just like, it's so precious. And when we don't take time to really, like for me, like I have wept for that 30-something version of my ex-husband, for that version of me, for like that. And I think that like, for me personally, that is sort of like laying flowers down at that moment in time and it's honoring it. And it can be so helpful in terms of moving forward. So I said a lot. I'm going to pause and get a drink and tell me what's happening over there.
Wow. Lots of that. Again, going through those photos the other day kind of got me sort of to the tip of the iceberg with a lot of that and seeing lots of baby pictures and seeing lots of, with our daughter. And it's funny, like fewer and fewer of me in the photo as, as the pictures of the two of them or just my daughter. And yeah, I mean, that time was, neither of us knew what the hell we were doing with a little kid. And I was just flat out terrified. And the day he went back to work, I cried my eyes out going, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be horrible. She's just going to give me hell all day long. And we had each other's backs for everything. And that was marvelous. It was a wonderful time. The thing that I start to realize with those is, and I don't want to go, the part of where I start to look at is like, oh, this started failing a little earlier than I realized when I look through some
you're
of
having
these
a retrospect. Things. Yeah, the retrospect lessons shining down.
Yeah. And I don't want to like poison memories with that because some of them are still very lovely. But yeah, there was that, which is not, it still needs to be reality that, yeah, it wasn't perfect until 5 years ago on the dot, there were still things that weren't going right. But yeah, I do think there's there's a lot to be grieved, and there's a lot to, I think I have a lot to forgive him for.
Okay.
And not really to him, just in my own
Yeah.
life, because I don't think he really hears any of this stuff from me. But I think I just have to kind of get it in my own whatever healing or whatever we want to call it, that he did what he could.
Probably his best.
Yeah. And I'm not, I'm no walk in the park. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl, me neither. It's rough to be married to me sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we both did what we could
Mhm.
do. And I think now the moving on part, it, I gotta give myself a fucking break.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say from the beginning, but I'm glad you're saying it.
Because it's not, this isn't just something you go, well, that didn't work. What's next?
Bummer.
You should really try and, conquer the world now.
Yeah. Pick better next time, Lisa.
Hell, woman.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. And, how about this time you just make your career perfect?
Okay, we'll be having none of that. But like speaking of career, I know you're a writer. And when was the last time, maybe not necessarily writing, but when was the last time you used art to process your feelings or your grief?
It has been some time.
Mm.
It has been some time. I would love to. The best thing I can say about that, I would love to. That would feel very good to me.
Do you have a preferred medium that suddenly came to you, or do you want to think about that?
I mean, I don't really do anything. I'm a singer, so I do music, but I don't know that I really use it for that. Writing for sure, not when it's not the paid writing. And then
Yeah.
probably writing. I think,
Okay.
I like to paint. I'm not good at it, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's really what it is either. That's just for kind of playing.
Yeah. So you're a singer. Do you prefer to does it feel more cathartic to write your own music, or are you like a sing in the car kind of lady? Like what helps for you?
Um, I don't, well, I write lyrics as much as I write, just write. But, I have a music partner. We do music together, but it's usually other people's stuff.
Okay.
But sometimes it's just like, there's that one song I feel like singing it. So I put it up, on
Good.
whatever and sing it because
Do
that
you
feels good.
Yeah, do you have like a song or list of songs that will sort of bring you to that place? I don't know if it's like your wedding song or something that'll kind of help you open the door.
I'm not sure about that. Our wedding song was goofy, so that won't work. But
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe there might be some stuff that's like more memory.
Yeah, or even like a particular
Stuff.
artist or poet or something.
Yeah, I think, there was a lot of kind of like the single soundtrack was a big thing that was a time capsule
Mhm.
kind of thing.
What would the goal be for you?
Not singles, swingers. Sorry, not singles.
Okay. Oh, that one.
That
I think there was a movie called Singles though, or maybe it was a
Yeah, that's that Seattle one that's not very good.
Of course you know. So what would the goal be for you in this
In the art,
creating art
mm,
process?
usually it's to do something I'm happy with, but I don't know that that's even what this would be. I think what I like is maybe going back to it a day or a week later and going, I got that.
Mhm.
That's that came out. That, whatever that was, I recognize it, and I maybe didn't recognize it when it happened. Does that make sense?
So you like having insights?
Yeah, like it came out. Whatever I was trying to get out came out.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Whatever was clogged
Yeah,
that you
or
did.
whatever I was trying to get across
Mhm. Mhm.
um, made sense, even if it didn't feel like it in the moment.
Okay. That would be great. I think for you, I see this as like maybe a win would just be that you sat down and did it and didn't really even have any specific tangible goal to come from it, because as a coach, like what I would love to see happen is that this creates some kind of what domino effect or something, or even just a habit to where you are feeling this stuckness and that you sort of connect the dots. Like, oh, I wonder if there's some emotion that needs to be unclogged. I wonder if there's some grief that needs to be looked at. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that you have like a go-to.
Yeah.
Maybe not that you're excited to do. I can't wait to put on some sad music and cry my face off or write a forgiveness letter. But that is what you need to do in order to move forward.
I think that's a good idea. I don't really avoid that kind of stuff. I just don't always think of it. I don't know about you, but I think I've been kind of brought up to think that's indulgent.
For
And
sure.
so it's
It's like, this is capitalism. Come on. Like, why on earth would you think that it's
not
okay?
gonna make you any money.
Just sit down and write about your feelings. So many other more
Yeah.
productive things that you could be doing with your time.
But yeah, that I mean, I certainly like the idea of doing that, and I will make time to do something like that if it is called to my attention that it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just wade around in your own muck and don't know what to do.
You have to sit around in your own pain and discomfort until you reach the point where you can't sit there in your own pain and discomfort anymore. I was just telling my teenage son this, like he's 18 and like kind of getting to that place of I want to do better, but I'm still don't want to. And so I'm like, but I'm 18. And I'm like, what? Everybody has their own pain tolerance and you got to find yours. And
Good call.
yeah, and trust me as a mother, and I'm like, I would like you to find yours fast. But no, we're really not in charge. I'm certainly not in charge of yours. And like, I want to say this to you and everyone listening. I want to speak to the whole part, like we have beliefs that say things like this are indulgent and like just that they don't matter and we could be doing better things with our time. I mean, even if all of that were true, like I know I am someone who very much was the, high productivity, just a product of our culture, really. And that this is indulgent. And also grew up in a family where feelings, for sure, we don't even talk about them. But then, like, when we know that they exist, like, I remember feeling so overwhelmed by my own feelings that I was like, these emotions thing are bigger than me. I don't have control over this. It's too scary. I'm going to shut it down. Did that for a long time, got sober. And then now at 50, I feel like I'm finally 14 years sober. And I'm like, oh, now I know what it actually feels like to like move through feelings and not avoid them, invite them in head on. They actually don't take up as much time as they used to. Believe it or not, like I am an evangelist for processing and feeling your feelings, if only because like, oh, it's going to make your life better and you're going to be more efficient because now I'm not like drowning in my own head drama about it. And I'm like, oh no, that feeling came and went this morning. Like I'm good. And so like that's my hope for you and for everybody is that like you can get to the place where you have enough evidence that like, oh, feeling feelings, it may be indulgent, but it's a necessity. It is like hygiene.
Yeah.
And it makes your life so much better. That's my hope is that you can start trusting yourself enough to believe that.
I love that you said that. I actually read yesterday somebody used the expression emotional hygiene, and I'd never heard that before.
I haven't
And
either, but I love it.
Really
Yeah.
like it because I think it just says exactly what it is. It's necessary and it's just part of taking care of yourself as a person.
Yeah.
Until you have to take care of your feelings in a family where it's not encouraged,
Yeah.
nobody's really good at it. You just do it because you have to. And you do get better at it. It does get a little, I don't know that faster, but you get a little more efficient at it. And
I think
figure
what
it
starts
out.
to happen is like you start to understand your own way that your body does it, just like anything else. And then you just get comfortable doing it. And here's what I've experienced. And like, for example, last week I was feeling, I call it prickly. Like I get super sensitive. And because my period's so irregular, I can't really track it. Like
Uh-huh.
I had a 14-day
Uh-huh.
cycle last week, you guys. Super fun. And
Uh-huh.
so Dr. Fox was here and he was teasing me and he said that this one thing that I did sounded like a chipmunk. Not mean. Like we were joking. We both have a great sense of humor. I took that so personally, I started crying.
Oh.
And which is unlike me. And he was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. And I mid cry and I'm like, I'm just feeling really sensitive today. And if you just stay with me, this will be good. And he was like, how long are we going to be here? Like, and he was being gentle, but I'm like, honestly, probably just just today. And then I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll feel fine. And you know what? I was. And I tell that story because like, again, like I still have moments where I am like unreasonably sensitive. And I mean that like, but I do know that it's only a day at the most. And so it's things like that where you can start to just like the people around you, you can ask them for support because it's not that hard. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like you just got to get used to it.
That's true. I think that asking for support is just so not done. And everybody I know who needs support, I'm like, why didn't you ask me?
Yeah.
And I know they would feel the same way. And it's just one of those weird things we don't do, which is just kind of ridiculous.
It is. And it's like, I even think about like when you were mentioning that, you have a couple of friends who are, I think you said like maybe they're on the dating scene or on dating apps and stuff like, so also asking for support from your friends might be kind of setting a boundary and say like, if they keep asking you to like come out with them drinking or something like that, just using this as
Right.
an example, saying something like, I love our friendship. And I also am grateful that y'all are single now too. And right now, what I would love to focus on is this. So like you can still be kind and say, here's what I need from you guys.
That's a very good point. And they would all be super receptive to that.
Probably. They're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, she told us what she needs instead of us trying to
Right.
guess.
Right. Yeah, that's true. The other day I had a day kind of like what you're talking about where I was crying at television things or whatever and things that don't matter at all. And I mentioned it to a friend just in joking like I just did to you. And she came to me about 5 minutes later and she said, Lisa, you don't have to cry alone. And I was
Oh,
like, thank you. I mean, it was stupid stuff. She's like, that doesn't matter. I was
doesn't.
like, I should be telling people when I don't feel good. You're right.
It doesn't. You should have, my hope is that everyone has a friend or a partner that they can call up when someone has called them a chipmunk and they're crying about it. And they can be like, that would hurt my feelings too. Just that kind of friend. That's my encouragement really is to like surround yourself with people who allow you to show all of you,
Yeah, I agree with you.
all of your dimensions.
We're lucky to have them.
Kaylee Cuoco and Sam Claflin star in the MGM Plus original series, Vanished. When the man Alice loves disappears on a train to the south of France, every romantic memory becomes evidence. Every intimate detail, a potential threat. She thought she knew everything about him, but she may not even know his real name. 4-part thriller Vanished premieres February 1st on MGM Plus. Finding the truth is a dangerous affair.
So what do you want?
What do I want? I want to use my degree for good. And in general.
I kind of meant like a muffin or a latte.
I want a job with a generous work-from-grocery-store policy.
You are here a lot.
Debbie, please, I'm working.
I want a job that will change the world.
Ma'am, this is a drive-thru.
And some nuggets.
With LinkedIn's new AI-powered job search, you can find roles that match your unique skills so you can dare to discover more. Visit linkedin.com/jobs to learn more.
We've kind of bounced around a little bit, and I asked you about making art and for processing your feelings. Is there anything in your head, like an idea of like what that might look like so I can hold you accountable for it?
I probably would do best with some writing prompts, honestly.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's just hard to know what to start with. I usually ignore the writing prompt after the first couple sentences, but it gets me started.
Ooh, okay. So make it a good one. Well, before I give you a prompt, is there any in your head that have popped up?
None.
Okay. All right.
Not one.
So I was thinking about asking creating a prompt that has you think about where you've been stuck in all of this. So something like, what is stopping you from looking underneath the grief? Or what are you afraid might happen if you look into the nitty gritty of the grief? And by nitty gritty, I mean like all of the different, because you're not just grieving the whole relationship. Like you're grieving, like you were mentioning, like those different, maybe around like the time that he got sick, or grieving the, whatever age you were at where you were saying you saw pictures and were like, oh, I think I was starting to like see cracks and ignore them at that time. Like grieving that version of you, because there's all these nuances. And I'm not trying to like overthink it or make it harder than it needs to be. But I just think sometimes if we move in a little bit closer to the grief, we can start to see these different dimensions of ourselves that are waiting to be heard.
I think both of those questions are good ones because I think grief has just always been a hard one for me. I think there's a lot of underneath it that I've been kind of not sure what's under there.
Yeah. I talk about grief a lot, and grief is interesting because I also think it's one of those universal experiences that when we get to a certain age, I think by the time we're like in our 20s and 30s for many of us, grief has become sort of this foundational thread in the tapestry of our life that's like and it also is tangled up with so many other emotions. Like grief is always there. Like if we think back, like motherhood, like the earlier days, there's grief that you won't ever get that back. There might be grief for other reasons, but also a lot of joy. So I think it's one of those things that the thread is always there. It's important to at least just look at it every once in a while to see if there's something you're avoiding.
Yeah. Cause I think also too, there's more coming. It's not the way I want to live my life, but it's unavoidable. And learning to deal with it is probably smart armor to have, or maybe that's not the right word either, but I do have a lot of, like the day that my mom goes is going to be I'm terrified of that day.
Yeah.
I got to do something to not like have that decimate me.
Yeah.
It's important to look at.
It is. And it's one of those things too. Like I don't want to leave without saying this too. Like all the women that I attract to my programs, to this podcast, you and I are having a one-on-one now. These are women that to some extent in their life have made a decision to like really live their life, like that you came here, you come to these podcasts and books and programs and circles because you came here to say yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And this bigger version of yourself, like, that there is so much to life for you to live. And as much as you don't like it, if you are going to be doing that, if you are going to be saying like, fuck yes to your life, you are also saying fuck yes to like the difficult, more uncertain parts that are painful and sometimes decimating, absolutely decimating. And if we avoid that, it just takes us farther and farther away from our yes life. And it's like, and trust me, like I was like, oh, you mean I have to deal with all of this? Like, I just want to like pick and choose the good parts. Isn't that living a kick-ass life? Like if I can just like piece it together. Turns out, no.
No. God damn it. Yeah. But you look at the people that aren't doing that and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's too shallow or quiet or something.
Fearful.
Yeah.
Surface level. Yeah. That's not you. That's not the people listening to this show. And that's the thing. Like you could come to a conversation with me or, to your therapist about like, I don't know what's next in my life. Like I need a plan. I need a strategy to start dating, to whatever. And if you keep kind of like packing up all of the big feelings, you're just going to keep dragging it around with you and it's going to fester. And
yeah, gross.
so you're going to make some art.
Yeah, man.
Is there anything else that jumped out at you that you want to commit to do? Like any conversations with people, any plans to make?
Oh, well, I don't know if we want to open that clam.
I probably do.
I have a friend I have to have a big conversation with. She's quit drinking in the last couple of years and recently, earlier this summer, told me that she had driven my daughter around while drinking.
Okay.
And that was part of her.
She made amends.
It was a mistaken part of her making amends. It really wasn't an amend to make since I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And I haven't really talked to her since because I haven't really known how to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody I've known 30 years. And so that's a conversation I have to figure out if I want to have. But
it sounds like you do.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other stuff about our relationship that hasn't really been ideal anyway. I felt like she threw a pile of crap in my lap and went, well, I feel lighter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt like.
I would say that is an important thing to communicate.
Yeah. I have let her know that part. I don't know if she's doing anything with it. I just needed to not. It sounds probably very selfish, but I didn't want to listen to her cry about it.
And you don't owe her that. I wonder if it would help if you got everything out that you needed to say in a letter that you don't plan on sending, or if you created an outline of like the goal of the conversation and just like bullet points of the points that you would want to make to her that would feel successful to you without sending it. Just get it out.
That's probably a good idea. Every time I think about a conversation, I just go, oh, this is just going to come across as you're a terrible person. I don't know why we were ever friends in the first place. And that's not going to help anybody. Even though, I don't want to jeopardize her sobriety in any way either. I still love her.
Yeah. And that's not your responsibility. Like her sobriety doesn't reside on your shoulders. And I think that like just hearing you say that makes me wonder, like the points that you have are valid. I'm worried that the points that you have are actually valid, but when they're sitting in your head, they sound mean, like the worst thing you've ever told anybody because of our social conditioning as women, and you have a 30-year friendship. So, and you can say the same exact sentence to someone in two completely different tones with completely different body language, and they are very different. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah.
I wonder if organizing your thoughts might be helpful at the very least.
I think you're right. I just have it's very, my head's very full over this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Get
kind
it
of thing. Yeah.
How would 2 weeks be enough time for me to circle back and ask you how these 2 assignments went? Or do you need more time?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be great.
All right. So our listeners will have an update in just a minute here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed talking to you a lot, as always.
Me too. All right. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for being so vulnerable and coming on. And I am going to read you her update. So the time that she asked for came and went, and she emailed me, and here's what she said. Thanks for checking back. Homework was interesting. With regard to grieving my marriage, I did some writing and realized a few things. The most important are 1, that I never questioned his heart, but I often questioned his judgment. 2, that I have no regrets about the choices I have made. And 3, my biggest area of discomfort comes when I don't know what to do with myself when I am alone. However, I have to remember that I had plenty of those moments while we were together too. I've been alone a lot longer than it seems. With my friend who confessed to driving my daughter around after drinking, I didn't tell you that I had written out how I felt the day after it happened when I was really mad. Now, several months later, I wrote a letter to her, trying to explain where I am now. A lot less mad. I don't want any more bullshit from her, and I question whether that is possible. I'm still confused about whether there is any reason to continue our friendship other than history. So here's the thing about coaching. Oftentimes, coaching, especially if it's just one session, it has the ability to sort of push or even catapult you forward with whatever topic it is that you're bringing to coaching, whatever it is that you're going through, whatever challenge or issue that you're facing. Coaching is about self-empowerment, about empowering the client. It's not about getting super clear answers right away. And sometimes it is that, but it's certainly not up to me to give my clients those answers. It's up to you. Like that's the main point, is so that the client empowers themselves enough to come to whatever decisions, conclusions, actions to take, whatever it is. And for Lisa, she gained some insight and is looking to make some decisions going forward. So I hope that was helpful to all of you. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you again to Lisa. And remember, it's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. Bye for now. Hey, did you know there's free secret podcast episodes waiting for you that are not part of my regular podcast feed? Yes, AndreaOwen.com/free. And you just sign up. You get a link sent to you. It's very secret. It's like a secret club. We don't have a secret handshake. Don't worry about that. But it's these motivating podcast episodes that I made for you. They're under 20 minutes each. There's 3 of them. They're for wherever you are in your life. So head on over there and grab them. They range from really supporting you and seeing you where you are and being compassionate, all the way to giving you a giant kick in your ass and telling you how amazing and gorgeous and phenomenal you are. So AndreaOwen.com/free and get your hands on that free podcast feed.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.